Welcome to the AtlantECO podcast, where we talk about the science behind the AtlantECO project, the Atlantic Ocean, and the human adventures experienced along the way. Here, we have conversations with guests from around the world who work together so that we can better understand, manage, and protect the ocean. So let's embark on the journey of AtlantECO and discover the world that lies above and beneath the surface of the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. Today we have an episode to wrap up our series on Mission Microbiomes, the expedition from the Tara Ocean Foundation, which saw the Tara schooner sailing around the South Atlantic to sample and collect data that will be used in AtlantECO for nearly 2 years. Our guest today, Romain Troublé, is here to share some of the key information we have from the expedition to date, but also tell us about what is next for Tara, the boat you have heard so much of in the last few months on the podcast. So welcome to the podcast, Romain. It is a pleasure to speak with you today.
A pleasure shared. Thank you.
Before we get talking about the expedition, I would like for us to get you a little bit more. So can you share with us how your connection with the ocean started, how it has evolved over time, and also tell us about the journey that has led you to where you are today?
Okay, pleased to meet you all. I started my relationship with the ocean very early in my life because my father and my grandfather was crazy about the ocean, and they were sailing, they were sailors. My father, Romain Troublé, did sail the Olympic Games twice for the French teams, and he did sail as well the America's Cup, famous regatta on the planet, on the top-notch level. And I also did myself sail the America's Cup twice in the end. So long history with the ocean, sailing over it and digging into it. And then I've been studying molecular biology for 5 years. So I'm a biologist by training. I've never done a PhD, but I did a master degree in business management. And then I took care of mammoth, enormous mammoth in Siberia, very cold Siberia in Russia. I took care of logistics in North Pole and South Pole for a company. And this is when the Tara project has been launched. At the same time, it was 19 years ago now, in 2003, when Agnès Bay and her son, Etienne Bourgois, launched the project by buying a boat. And so I was happening to be there as well at this time to start to kick the project alone at the beginning. And now we have a team, but at the time I was alone with a few sailors. At the beginning, it was a project more to talk about the ocean to the public by expeditions, adventure, and then the legacy of such a project, of the money Agnès Bay was pouring into the project, what would be the legacy in the future? And then that's when 15 years ago, when we started to really frame the impact of the foundation around 2 topics. The first one was exploration, explore the planet, understand the planet with scientists on board. And the second one was educate. How can we share this exploration, this passion for exploration? And the question we were raising going at sea for months, to the general public, to the kids, of course, but also to the politicians. So this has led us so far, since 15 years now, about 12 expeditions has been done, and the foundation keep flowing on this path. What's interesting to see is that there is no plan at the beginning, saying we're going to do this and then do this. It was a journey where we discovered questions arise when we were going at sea, and then new expedition was launched to respond to this question. And then again, new questions arise, and then decided to launch other expeditions on the topics. Because I think so far it's 100,000 samples collected so far.
Wow, that is a lot, yeah. And as you say, it has been guided by the needs, the challenges identified. So talking always with scientists, with politicians, with everybody that is involved in looking after the ocean. So it's a foundation with a good mission.
And it makes it a very singular structure at the crossroads of scientific research, education, political advocacy, also marine. I mean, it's a sailing ship and sailors. And so it makes this project a very special project in the world today, in the landscape of ocean exploration.
Yeah, pretty unique for sure. So let's talk about Mission Microbiomes. So on the podcast, we had a long series of episodes dedicated to discovering each leg of the mission. I've been chatting and listening to the tales of scientists who went on board during this adventure, some of the crew members sharing their experience. And Tara returned to Lorient in France at the end of the expedition in October 2022, after having left from there in December 2020. So what has it been like? Can you tell us about the challenges, the successes, and all of the people involved to make this happen?
I mean, back in 2020, we were in another world, COVID confined. And so to us, it looks like it was ages. It was not only 22 months. And so that was a challenge. And we knew it, and we all decided together, the scientists, the crew members, the sailors, should we go? We're going to be a mess with the COVID restrictions. But then we left, and happy to leave. It was a challenging logistic issues, of course, all along the way. That the team here has a huge effort to make it as soft as possible for the teams. Otherwise, it was a fantastic expedition. We crisscrossed the South Atlantic. We did in Antarctica. We managed to take some time with scientists on board on very particular ocean artifacts and locations and phenomena to study the biodiversity there. And that was a very nice expedition for that. To give you some numbers, it's about 14 countries visited, 70,000 kilometers, which a big part with cells, not only engines, which is a nice carbon dioxide impact. And I think we had 168 scientists coming on board. Every port call, we had a change of people all the time. It was a crazy logistic project, but it was nice. And the output is a lot of samples and data from this, which we now need to work on as quickly as possible within the AtlantECO program. We're really happy about that. And the fact as well that we came in Antarctica and we managed to talk to the President Macron in real time from there, with scientists on board talking about the climate change there and the emergency to protect such an area in Antarctica. It was also a very important time of the project.
Yeah, I've heard from those experiences, the energy, the vision of everybody and the mission of everybody working together to achieve the same mission was felt all the way through. You know, it's something that comes out of every conversation I've had is the amount of energy that was poured in from everybody to make this happen.
Energy from the teams, from the crew, but also from the scientists, the students that come on board. But, you know, you have to remember that they are fishing invisible stuff and don't even see what they fish and so. So it's amazing to see that such an energy combined with the energy of our partners, our funders, sponsors, the company who supports us, and the backers of the foundation to bring money into the process. It's a fantastic adventure. It's very interesting as well. You know, we spent 4 years, 10 years ago, to study who is there. And now we spend 2 years to try to understand how it works together, these ecosystems. So, and its sensitivity to climate change and stresses of pollutions and I mean, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic journey that we need to share more and more.
And yeah, I mean, the work doesn't stop here, of course. And now all of the samples have been dispatched to the different labs that were involved and the analysis have begun and they will take a little while, but we still have many months of AtlantECO left to share the results that we will have, including here on our podcast, and we'll carry on doing that. But the legacy of such expeditions long overruns the lifetime of our project, as is the case with all the previous expeditions.
Yeah, if you look at the past expedition, I mean, we came back 10 years ago and we still meet every 6 months and it is still published on the data. And today we were in a workshop to prepare the next mission and some of them were talking about taking the samples from 10 years ago to work on them still. So it's a treasure, not only for the team that were working with us, but also for the data open, of course. So it's a treasure for mankind to dig into it.
And they're going to use it to inform the way we manage the ocean and its resources for years and years to come. So it's amazing things to realize. But yeah, for now, let's talk about the Foundation's upcoming activities. You just mentioned you were in a workshop to talk about the next one. And there are 2 projects that I would like to chat about. The first one is Tara, the boat, Tara's next expedition. And the second one is the polar station. So first, let's talk about the upcoming expedition. It's called TREC. Can you tell us what it is about and where it is all taking place?
We've been studying the pollution of the ocean, plastic pollution, mostly. The one you see, the tip of the iceberg that you can see of the pollution. And we've been studying this in the rivers or in the outputs of the rivers to find out where it comes from. And this was the visible part of the pollution. And you all know that there are also chemical pollution coming out of the lands, watersheds. So now we have decided with EMBL, the great European Molecular Biology Lab, and also the EU Commission support, to look at the European coastlines from Riga in Estonia to Athens in Greece for 2 years. And the Tara schooner will sail up along the coast of Europe to sample sediments and also for the microbiome that we've studied over the last couple of years. But also the chemical pollution we can see and what would be the link between these two. And this takes us to the understanding that there's only one Earth on this planet. If we pollute our environment, pollute the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, then we're going to be sick. We try to push this message, of course. In the same time, we try to support science on the boat as much as we can. For our part, we'll be on the water. But all this also will be done on land with an EMBL track on land who will do this on the soil, in the rivers, in the mud, around the rivers' banks, to try to find out where this chemical pollution is coming and what is the impact on the development of organisms.
We've discussed this in the podcast before, but looking at the life within the ocean is one thing, but understanding how they evolve in an environment, whatever that environment is, whether it's physical properties or whether it's pollution that surrounds them or the nutrients availability or just anything that is around them, is very important to understand the overall health of the ocean. So the next expedition will, of course, contribute to developing that knowledge even further.
Yes, and to run it the same way we run AtlantECO and the way we run the ocean before. I mean, all the projects, what's very important to understand, I think this is one of the strengths of this program, is that everything you do is done the same way. I mean, it's comparable. We can compare data from microbiomes to the one that are collected the coastlines. So it's a huge data set that is building year after year over the last 15 years. And I mean, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic.
It's a tremendous contribution to marine sciences, that's for sure. And many activities coming up for that topic, how do we develop our monitoring capacities and resources around the ocean, around the coastlines, so that we can get that continuous sort of information, that flux of information to feed into databases and in turn inform those people that are making the decisions on how to use the resources and how to manage those resources and, optimize all of this so that we can all continue to benefit from the ocean and the services it's providing to us, making sure that we don't do any harm and that we can all continue to live in harmony. So really important. So let's turn now to the second project, the Tara Polar Station. So that sounds really exciting. Can you tell us about it?
This is a new project that we are developing for the last 5 years, slowly but surely, with some partners who helped us go forward. One of them is Monaco Foundation. We decided to build a new platform, a new boat that will be designed to be in the Arctic Ocean for the next couple of decades. Long-term research. I mean, the Arctic Ocean, what the North Pole and the Arctic Ocean, kind of sentinel of the climate change. Climate change is happening there 3 to 4 times faster than everywhere else on the planet. And so the ice is melting and the diversity that we see within the ice it is changing, will change, may disappear in the future. So there's a huge effort to document all this life and the way it adapts to such a cold and such a darkness in the winter time. The main goal of this, of course, is to share, to communicate about the emergency, of course, but also how can we manage in this kind of ISS station of the North Pole, how can we manage to get on board Russians, Americans, Canadians, Danish, Chinese, Japanese, why not, to try to reach the same understanding of what's going on, the same understanding of the impact of shipping lanes on the sea, to reach a single common understanding of the Arctic Ocean situation. Without a common understanding, we will never be able to have a common solution and a joint effort on the solutions. So that's why we try to do that. That's the main goal. It's going to take time, but I think we need to take time to understand science. Basic science needs time, but then leads to a very, very strong leverage in terms of policy once it's published and once it's proved. So a long-term project, we will see for the next 10 to 20 years with this project. So Of course, this will require a lot of support from the EU Commission, from private partners. This public-private partnership that we have set with the foundation. But it's up to us to succeed. And it's fantastic when you see the platform, the shapes and design. It's great.
It is indeed. I've looked briefly into it and it looks amazing. So people are going to be going to that station for long periods of time. We're not talking about weeks there.
The idea is, in the same way we have a station in Antarctica, the people go there for 8 months, 6 months. So it will be the same on this, with the exception that she will be locked in the ice and the ice is moving. So it's more dynamic. And I think we need to tell a story. I mean, science cannot speak by itself. Science does not convince people to change by itself. It does it when people tell a story, their story, the emotion.
That actually brings me nicely into my last question for you today. So we all know that the ocean is facing many challenges and that its protection and preservation is essential for all of us. So I want to ask you if there is a message that you want to share with our audience today, a word of encouragement, a call to action, or anything else.
The ocean and this diversity we're looking within the program AtlantECO and many others we did before, is that resilience of the ocean. I mean, the pace of evolution in the ocean is very, very fast. So it's about weeks to renovate all the major ecosystems. And this makes the ocean very resilient. As soon as we lose pressure, then the ecosystem is catching up pretty fast. We can see this in many areas already today. So that's good. That's a very optimistic information that we all need to take. If you do things and we protect the ocean better, the result will be seen within 5 years. What else can we do but to make sure that the hope for a better planet is still alive every day we live? And that's what drives me, drive my team here, drive the board of the foundation, the president of the foundation, and so drive all the scientists who come on board, with whom we share this project. The energy comes from this idea. The energy we have on board comes from the thing that we need to go for it. We need to understand. We need to predict what's going to happen, to be better adapted and to take bold decisions. It's never fast enough, of course. You have to live with it, but progress is progress. Common work has to be done with a collaborative way. This is where we take the most of people and the experiences and the competencies. So let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Keep up the hope and work together to make our hopes a reality. So I'm sure that our listeners will want to keep up with everything we've discussed about today. So where can they find out more and how can people get involved if they want to?
Of course, we have a website called the TaraOceanFoundation.org website. You can find information there, but they also can find us on social network, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. There will be programs coming up, always driven by a scientific question. And each time we build consortiums and EU grants, EU consortium as well, to get money to produce this research. And I mean, that's up to you guys to connect to the scientific community, because we are not at the foundation deciding who is working with us. We are really partners in the building of the consortiums itself.
I would say you are enablers of how to implement a vision into becoming a reality. There are scientific questions and you have the means and resources to make that possible. So that leaves me with thanking you for today, for your time, Romain. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I hope that we can talk again about the next ventures of Tara, the boat, and the foundation.
Louise, it's a pleasure to work with you for the last 3 years. So.
Oh, thank you. And hopefully we carry on working together. It's always a pleasure. We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode and look forward to seeing you next time. You can follow the AtlantECO project on our website on www.atlanteco.eu, and you can also find us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. All the links and information on the project and on today's episode is in the show notes. AtlantECO is a project funded under Horizon 2020, a European Union research and innovation programme.